be able to do this today, and I have to tell you, I am still marinating in all that juiciness from the last few weekends, and last night, holy cow, that power in the room last night, for those of you who saw you speakers, I am so inspired. So I am so excited about today. I'm still feeling so good. So thank you for that gift of this weekend. There is going to be a handout at the end of today, just so that you know. And you'll know why in a second. So as you guys start to think about who needs you, your voice, your message, and your insights, I'm guessing that one audience that's come up for you is companies. I not only train, facilitate, and consult for a wide variety of organizations, I also manage that role internally for a very large agency. As a result, I'm often on both sides of the agreement. I'm organizing the sessions or I'm presenting them. And in a few cases, I'm attempting to do both. What's really amazing about getting a chance to do that is the fact that you get to walk into these organizations and actually influence some kind of a shift and some kind of a change. What I bring to you today is my experience and how to walk into those companies and those organizations and make the experience a win-win for everyone. You'll learn how to avoid the number one biggest mistake that even the best and most experienced consultants and speakers and facilitators make when working with organizations. But first, I'll share the number one thing that organizations are looking for. They're looking for outcomes, that so what factor. They want to know that the time and money that they're investing in you is going to make things better. And there are 4 key ways that you can do that. When you're speaking, remember, you're asking people to make a change in their thinking, a change in their behavior, a change in their actions. So my first tip is be very clear in communicating what is the change or promise at the end of the engagement, and then be sure you deliver it. Second, they're listening for action items. They want to know what they're going to do with the information that you're sharing. How does it tie to their day-to-day work? What's the payoff for making that change? And what's the cost if they choose not to? My third insight is that they're looking for confirmation that you understand their specific issues and needs, and you're not just showing up with the same out-of-the-box presentation that you give to everyone. So you're going to need a little bit of data. Ask if they've conducted any employee surveys that would provide insight into the topic that you're going to be working on with them. Ask if you can speak to people at different levels of the organization, not just top management. And be sure to ask about both their short and their long-term goals and their needs. Because data-informed decision-making is going to make you stand out from the crowd. Candidly, there are many of you who have been working in organizations know, there are a lot of organizations that have no clue what their core needs are. They just know that something needs to change. But in this case, no worries. You can still be fully prepared to walk in and highlight how you can help them. Because the one thing that's consistent across all organizations, regardless of the industry or their size, is that they're run by people. And people are messy. So the issues that tend to pop up wherever people and processes intersect are going to look very similar. To get you started, here are a few of the most common challenges that companies are facing today so that you can consider how what you offer can help them and address these needs. Developing future leaders and then keeping them on board by setting them up for success, including the introverts. That perception of leadership, that it has to be this, needs to shift. Work-life integration. Yeah, a lot of nodding heads on that one. I mean, which of us couldn't use a little more balance in that area? Yeah, I know I can. It's my goal this year. Another really related issue that organizations are struggling is how do you navigate stress? Especially in those times of, oh God, all that uncertainty and the change and things are going on and our messiness gets really exacerbated. How do you do that in the workplace and still get our jobs done and still be effective leaders and followers? Equally important. Another thing that organizations are always looking for are those creative and innovative ways to stay relevant and disrupt their industry. Okay, let me not forget the number one issue that comes up wherever people are involved. There's a lot of expertise in this room. Anyone want to take a guess at what that issue is? Just shout it out if you've got an idea. Employee engagement, that's on the top 10. Change management, that's a big, broad topic, fortunately for me, because that's what I do. More money, communication, anyone else gotta? Just shout it out. Hiring the right people. These are great, they're all under the one big umbrella, and someone said it. Communication. Communication with themselves, communication with each other, and communication with our clients. Communication that builds relationships, builds trust, and builds consensus. Communication that creates a culture of accountability and sets very clear expectations and allows people to influence an outcome regardless of how long they've been with that company or what their job title is. Communication that is written, verbal, and nonverbal. I'm kidding. This is, okay. Thank you for that. I knew you could handle that. So, it's messy. Communication, messy. My fourth insight into how to deliver that so what factor that organizations are craving is to make the experience about them. Keep the focus on the people in the room and not on yourself. I've got to share a story with this one with you guys. So I was on a discovery call with a client recently, and I asked, what was it their organization had tried already that had not worked? So this executive that I was on the phone with shared a time that they had brought in a facilitator from the outside to help them deal with a really sticky people problem. And during the retreat, everybody thought this executive was taking copious notes because whenever they looked over at her, she was jotting a whole bunch of stuff down on her notepad. Yeah, turns out not so much was the case. During this day, instead of taking notes about that really important content and the tips and the strategies so she could take them back to her team and make things better, this executive spent the day tallying the 147 times that this facilitator used the words I or me and made the day about herself. And Kathleen, she could have really used you on one of these examples because one of the tally marks that she told me about was that at the beginning, apparently for the first 20 or 30 minutes of this experience, nobody in the room, the 250 people, could hear her. Because the handheld mic was doing feedback and the battery stopped working. But she didn't want to put the lavalier on because it would interfere with her outfit. You can't make this up. She definitely needed you. Needless to say, this decision maker saw no value whatsoever in that experience and hence was on the phone with me. I promised that I would share the number one issue that consultants make when working with companies. And that last example actually touched on it a little bit, but there's a little more to it than that. When you're working with an organization and they're having an issue, the first thing they do is think, okay, let's bring someone in from the outside to help us fix things, right? Show of hands. How many of you have worked within an organization that's brought someone in, or you've been brought in yourself to help an organization fix an internal issue? Tons of hands just popped up around this room. It is completely normal to bring in an objective perspective to help make things better. And there is clearly a huge benefit in doing so, which is, well, okay, it's great for all of us. But there's also a really big risk for those organizations in doing so. Because the truth is, that person is an outsider. The number one mistake that consultants make is forgetting that. There are so many circumstances where a consultant, speaker, facilitator doesn't take the time to ask the right questions or any questions and gather their data. And as a result, you just don't have enough context to actually make a difference. In other situations, I've seen them completely bypass the people who are closest to the work and hold a lot of information that could provide valuable insight about their needs, if only they were asked. When you're working with an organization, just keep in mind, they have probably experienced tons of sessions where they were promised some kind of a huge transformation. But at the end of the day, when that facilitator, that trainer walked out of the room, all of the motivation and all of the energy and all of those ideas walked right out that door with them, and nothing changed. Or in some circumstances, like the case with 150 all about me moments, the situation actually got worse when that facilitator walked out of the room. True story. And unfortunately, I have seen that happen in way too many situations. Comes up on discovery calls all the time. But let me pause here for a moment. I'm not sharing all of this to ward you off from working with organizations. Quite the opposite, actually. It's fun, and it's rewarding, and it's rather lucrative. And if you get a chance to test out all of your new ideas, and on top of that, you can then get so much insight from the people that you're working with that you can then take back and integrate into everything else you're doing. I just want to be sure that you're fully prepared to walk in and tap into that glimmer of hope, that feeling that people in organizations hold on to, that feeling that maybe, just maybe, this time, something will change. And then wow them by delivering on the change that you've promised and delivering the outcomes they're looking for. Now, I intentionally haven't said a lot about myself or used the word I in this presentation, and you've got a little insight into why. But the truth is, organizations really do care about the person they're bringing in once you're in the room. Now, that might sound contradictory to what I've already shared, but stay with me. When you're working with an organization, it is critically important that you don't make the experience about yourself. However, once you're training or speaking or facilitating, it is equally important not to hide behind your content and speak only from your brain. You're going to want to be relatable, personable. You want to be approachable. With some boundaries. You want to be approachable. And you do want to have a point of view and a perspective. One of the main reasons that people tell me that they hire me and then bring me back again and again and again is because I create warm, engaging, personal, fun experiences that are filled with concrete strategies that you can actually do something with. And also a whole bunch of inspiration so that people really feel like they can go back and do it themselves. And it works because that's who I am. There are probably a lot of people who are doing the work that you are doing. And on paper, unless you've got a really good copy editor and have a good one sheet, it may sound like everybody is offering exactly the same thing. However, what you bring to an organization is a unique combination, a blend of who you are, what you know, and what you've experienced. And that is what organizations are looking for. So as you leave here this weekend and you head on out and you begin to connect with the organizations and the companies that need your secret formula, keep one final thought in mind. Be yourself. because an original is worth more than a copy.